please join me in extending a wonderful welcome to our President and CEO, Yogesh Gupta.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Lauren. Boy, those introductions just keep getting longer and longer. So, I guess as you age. So anyway, welcome. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, I think we can do better, especially this side, right? Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, here we go. So it's so wonderful to see all of you. Of course, right now I can't see any of you with these bright lights in my eyes, but yesterday I got to mingle with some of you at the reception. It's great to see so many new faces here, not just folks who are returning. Always good to see them, but also wonderful to see as many new faces as we have here. According to, I think, some statistics that somebody shared with me, nearly 2/3 of the people that are here weren't at our Progress Next conference last year. So welcome. It's really exciting to have you all here. So what's my job this morning? So my job this morning is to talk about accelerating digital innovation, right? And what its impact is and can be on business. And lastly, how Progress can help you accelerate your business. And we've been helping you all along, and how we can help you going forward in the future. But before I get started, it's always good to sort of get a little bit of a feel for why. Why is accelerating digital innovation an important thing? And let me share a few business stories. Right, so let's start with CBRE. So CBRE is one of the largest office space management companies on the planet. They manage more than 5 billion square feet of office space around the globe. Right? And how did they build this business? They built this business by building great relationships with HR people, with office managers, with facilities management people. And because of that, they've been able to actually build a behemoth of a company. Along comes a company called WeWork. And WeWork says, you know what? I think office space business is ready to be disrupted. And what they do is they actually connect directly with the employees who work in the business, in the office building. So you get a WeWork app. By the way, we happen to use a small space of WeWork in a couple of locations. And when I walk into that building, on my app, it'll tell me who else from Progress is there today. If I want to schedule something, let's say a meeting with John and Jane, I can basically say, oh yeah, John and Jane are here. I touch on it and I say I'd like to set up a meeting with them. And it automatically finds me a conference room that will fit 3 people. It basically says, do you want a video thing, et cetera, whatever. On your app, on your phone, you do that. It sends meeting requests. It has become a manager of, that app manages the activity that I'm going to do in the office. It tells me what's for lunch. It tells me where there's a session going on that I might be interested in based on my interests. It tells me there's a beer thing going on in the afternoon. It's always crowded at the beer thing. But anyway, they have changed the way they interact. And instead of interacting with the business buyer, they actually are now interacting with the end user. And by doing that, they're changing who gets asked to become the provider of office space. Because the employees are now going and saying, next time when our lease comes up, I'd like to go work in a WeWork space. So let's move from this other building into a WeWork. So tremendous pressure being seen by people like CBRE, JLL, and others, and they're getting disrupted by WeWork because they have decided to deliver an experience to the end user that is unique and different. Another example is Life Fitness. Life Fitness is the #1 manufacturer in the world of exercise equipment for commercial gyms. So the gym in this hotel, the gym in hospitals, the gym at commercial gyms, Planet Fitness, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of these, they use Life Fitness equipment. And they became tremendously successful by saying to these folks, look, I'll lower your total cost of ownership. We will deliver to you equipment that does not break. And so fundamentally, the quality has been their differentiator for a very, very long time. Right? And they have built a great business. Along comes Peloton. And what they do? They say, you know what? I am going to build an exercise machine, a bicycle, that basically connects to the user and adapts to the user so that the user's experience is truly unique. So when I get on the bike shows me things that I'm interested in. There's real-time classes going on. I'm watching stuff. I'm doing stuff. It knows about me, and the bike adapts to me. So that's a fundamentally different way of doing things. And by doing that, what happens? When I go over, when somebody who uses Peloton bikes, I don't know how many of you use Peloton bikes. Anybody? Somebody back there, I think, at least. All right, 2. Yes, we have just doubled, 100%, 300%. No. So, clearly this is a very fit group. We don't need to use Peloton bikes. But it's interesting what happens. You go to the hotel and you go down in the morning, you go to the gym and you say, hey, do you have a Peloton bike? Because I have an app, and as soon as I get on the Peloton bike, the bike will recognize who I am and it will cater to me. And life fitness business is under tremendous pressure because of Peloton. The last example is a company called Cisco. And this is not Cisco with a C, right? This is not the networking hardware company. This is Cisco with an S. I don't know how many of you heard of Cisco. This is one of those companies that is sort of in the background. It basically moves food. They are a food distribution company. Hotels, hospitals, restaurants, catering rooms, etc. They use Cisco, and Cisco has relationships with them to deliver food in bulk on a timely basis so that the next day's food gets made, or 2 days later food gets made, and so on. The problem is, along comes somebody like Amazon. And what Amazon did is said, you know what, that restaurant chef who basically realized that in today's menu there's supposed to be steak and potatoes, but there are no potatoes in the pantry, needs 50 pounds of potatoes. Now Cisco can't deliver 50 pounds of potatoes in the next 4 hours, but Amazon can. And so Amazon has built and is building a relationship and undercutting Cisco's relationship with a corporate entity by connecting directly to the person whose job it is to make the food. And that is changing and disrupting Cisco's business. Now, interestingly enough, if you think about it, there's no reason why Cisco could not have the same app for their end user. They could actually provide the same thing, except you go, but Yogesh, their trucks only roll once a night and they can't get the food in 4 hours. They don't have to deliver it. Amazon doesn't even deliver its own packages. UPS does, or USPS does, or somebody else does, right? It isn't about delivery. You know Amazon because the package shows up, you order from Amazon and it shows up and the box says Amazon. So Cisco could take the order, have Amazon fulfill it, and still maintain the relationship. So you have to think out of the box about the relationship you have, who do you have it with, and how do you prevent yourself from getting disrupted? Because every organization today must use software to disrupt others before someone else disrupts them. That is the reality of our business. Now, all of you, by the way, or at least the vast majority of you already know this, right? Because you've been in business a long time. You've been doing it all along. Right? You've been innovating all along and doing things, building on top of progress technologies and other technologies and staying ahead of the curve. And that's how you are parts of successful businesses. But it is becoming harder and more challenging all the time. So what is Progress's mission? Progress's mission is actually very straightforward. Right? It is our mission to help folks like yourselves thrive in this modern world. Right? In this world, by delivering you the best platforms and tools to build modern, business-critical applications. So building and running business-critical applications is the imperative, and that is all we are about. Right? So we don't ourselves build business applications. We don't do a lot of other things. We build platforms and tools to serve folks like yourselves. So before I get into what is it that our platforms do and what have we done with it, let's make sure we're on the same page about what are some of the characteristics of these modern business applications. Lauren listed a couple of them at the start, but I want to just go through them for a minute. In the end, the most important thing is the end user, right? So the adaptive experiences, the experience that says, I as an end user am seeing something, getting something that is truly unique to me. It's personal to me. Is absolutely the key. So it has to be on any kind of device. It has to be on wherever I am, whenever I want it. And to be able to be effective, it has to have all this other stuff. Right? Think about it, right? We're in a connected world, right? My bicycle has to talk to something that has to talk to my phone. My hotel room has to, the HVAC system should actually talk to my phone so that I go in and it isn't 62 degrees in Florida. Sorry, 62 degrees. For those of you who are from the Celsius type of countries, it is about 16 degrees. That's the temperature was last night when I walked into my room. I'm like, 16 degrees. This, it could be just normally 22 would be fine, right? By the way, that's the Celsius thing for the Fahrenheit guys. I know, it's confusing. But so the world is connected, data is connected, the applications have to leverage that. And they have to do it at large scale. Modern business applications have to do it at a much greater scale. It's one thing if you're Life Fitness and you're selling to 100 or 1,000 facilities, but it's completely different if you're signing up 1 million bicycle users in your Peloton. So the scale is very different. And then if you want to make that experience truly personal, you have to have smarts, you have to have machine learning, cognitive capabilities, and predictive capabilities so that you do the right thing by the end user all the time. And to make this happen and to be able to interconnect and have the flexibility and to be able to, like Cisco, say, I will do my fulfillment using somebody else, you have to make sure that the business application sees everything as a service and is able to interchange services as the business need arises. It's all about business need, right? And so all of this has to be done. It has to be done quickly with a lean team, hardly any people. It has to be done reliably, securely. Doing any one of these things is hard. Doing it all together is extremely, extremely difficult. And not only is it extremely difficult, the types of people and the teams that are involved is also becoming more complex, right? There was a time when you said, I want to build a business application, and what you did is you got a bunch of developers together and said, guys, here are some specs. Let's build a business application. And then over time, people said, you know what? We should really separate the business logic from the UI and presentation, so let's have some front-end developers and some back-end developers. Right? And so now you have two types of developers, and they have to collaborate, right? Complexity goes up, right? It simplifies complexity in terms of change over time, but complexity of interaction between people goes up. And then you say, wait a second, I built this business application, I toss it over the wall, the ops people have to operate it. You know what? I need to tie those together. Let's have this team called DevOps and continuous integration and continuous delivery, and now I need it DevOps, and now yet another group of people is working closely with the developers. And you go, wait a second, I built that UI, but you know what? Really, UI building is one thing, but the design is a different field, right? It requires psychologists and human interaction folks and all that stuff. So you have a team of designers. And they talk a completely different language, right? They really talk English, unlike the rest of us. And so you now have designers who have to work with developers, right? And they use tools like Sketch and all kinds of other stuff, whereas the rest of us use programming languages and IDEs. And so now how do you bring those together? And if you're going to leverage data, you need these folks that are now called data scientists, right? They are the ones who can do analytics and build models and connect them up to your application. And so you have I like to call these 4 different Ds that need to work together. And when you have different teams working together, complexity goes up as a matter of multiplication. So I like to say the complexity is D to the 4th. Right? It really is extremely difficult. And so the question is, how does this get facilitated? How do we bring this all together? So Progress's vision regarding these modern apps and what we need to do is very simple. Our vision about the modern apps is very simply that the future of business applications is going to be cognitive first. Right? It is cloud first, it is mobile first, it's all kinds of experiences, but smarts are the differentiator, right? True differentiator going forward. So cognitive first, and we will provide the best platform to build and run these business applications. So if this is what we're going to deliver, right, what is the right approach? What is the right architecture for something like this? And obviously, you need something at the top, an adaptive experience layer that is able to adapt to any kind of channel, device, et cetera, that a user might want to use. Right? Today, it's mostly mobile and web. Now chatbots are becoming popular. At least the hype level on chatbots is high right now. The next thing will be wearables, then all kinds of other things, AR, VR, you name it, right? So you have all these new kind of channels, and so you need a layer that basically can deal with that. And then you need a layer that basically has that we call cognitive serverless cloud layer, which is basically a cloud-based layer that is scalable, that provides all the things that you need with respect to smarts and machine learning capabilities, et cetera, robust, mission critical, all the good stuff. And then you need to be able to connect to all the data that might be there. And then that data could be in homegrown applications and cloud applications. They could be on-prem or in the cloud. They could be big data sources. They could be IoT data. It doesn't really matter. All of this has to get connected and leveraged by your business application. And last but not least, you need something for ops that makes the backend run so that when this is all running, you're actually delivering the level of service you want to. And let's drill in just a little bit into each of these layers. And so on the front-end side, you really need native experiences. I know people say, well, we can write everything in HTML5 and that'll work on everything. It'll work on everything. But when you look at the native experiences that people are delivering to disrupt somebody else, they truly are native to the device. So native experiences. Also, progressive web apps and PWAs are critical too, because for many things, they are wonderfully fine. All kinds of emerging channel-based technologies. On the back-end side, a serverless cloud platform that is truly scalable, reliable, and does all the heavy lifting so that you don't have to, right? Some services that provide intelligence, rules, content. By the way, content management is a key part. After all, if you're going to engage somebody, content is an essential part of that. And can you have the right content as a service piece that plugs into that same framework and same architecture and works and is extensible? And so that, and then of course, mission-critical platform around which your business apps today are already built and can be extended. Data connectivity, of course, as I mentioned, not only data connectivity for on-demand data access, but moving data on a periodic basis, moving data on an event basis, those kind of things. And then last but not least, infrastructure management and operations. So we at Progress have actually tried to address all of these. And over the last 2.5 years, we've been building out our portfolio. So on the front-end side, we have NativeScript, which is it's an open source project, but it's also part of Kinvey Studio, which is something that you'll hear more about. We have Progress Kinvey, which is the back-end platform, which is a counterpart of Kinvey Studio. Kendo UI for web apps, and we have a lot of work going on in our Telerik team around advanced next generation AR, VR, and other types of interactions as well. We have the world's best rules engine with Corticon. It's actually, I don't know how many of you, especially in the US, are aware of this. It is the #1 rules engine when it comes to implementing state health care programs that have been implemented over the last decade after ACA was passed. And again, ability to handle complex business rules and make it extremely easy. One of the themes you'll hear about Progress and our products is making complex things easy, making it easy for you to solve complex problems rather than exposing the complexity to you. Right? Data RPM is our machine learning platform, and Sitefinity, of course, is our content management platform that is truly outstanding. And again, extremely powerful, extremely easy to use. You'll actually hear from some customers that are using Sitefinity later today. And then last but not least, OpenEdge, of course, which is the mission-critical platform of choice. And that forms the middle layer. Right? And then in terms of data connectivity, DataDirect is the data connectivity product that provides on-demand, mission-critical, world-class data access capabilities. And with our recent acquisition of Ipswitch, MoveIt provides periodic file transfer and data movement, or event-based data movement. And I'll talk a little bit more in a moment about that. And then last but not least, WhatsUp Gold is our product for infrastructure management, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute as well. That also came to us through the acquisition of Ipswitch. So let's drill into some of these products a little bit more and show you a couple of little demos around it. So the first one I'd like to talk about is Kinvey. Now, Kinvey is actually an amazing modern platform that dramatically improves productivity of organizations because it brings together the front-end building and the back-end platform services together in a very easy to use and easy to build on studio environment. On the back end, it hides a lot of the complexity around data connectivity and authentication and all kinds of things with built-in capabilities and strength. So out-of-the-box authentication integration, out-of-the-box data and app integration. It has a completely standards-based architecture, and so it is extensible to your heart's content. You can add other services that Progress doesn't offer to it. And it also leverages our other services that we offer in the middle platform, such as Data RPM and Corticon for machine learning and rules, such as Sitefinity for content, and of course, OpenEdge. Right? It allows you to build apps on top of OpenEdge. And by the way, it is the only cloud platform today that the complete stack is HIPAA certified. And therefore, we actually have a significant number of new healthcare ISVs that are now beginning to use Convey to build their modern apps. And these are pharma companies, these are health instrument companies, and so on. So it's a very, very powerful platform. But instead of talking a lot about it, what I want to do is show you the kind of an application, an experience that could be delivered with it, and a little bit of a glimpse on how that application can be built.